Hello everyone, it's Christine here and I'm excited to be sharing my Stitchery swap square for Leanne. And this square is the 21st of my 21 squares that I have made as part of this round of Stitchery swaps. Now I do have a list of other lovely ladies who want to be part of a phase 2 of Stitchery swaps that I'll be doing. And I'll be doing that phase 2 in a few weeks time. I'm going to take a bit of time off just to have a bit of a dabble in some other projects. And then I'll sort of start to think about and just gradually work on some other Stitchery swap squares, but not at such a frenetic pace as these 21 squares have been done. So this square is for the lovely Leanne, and I took my inspiration for Leanne's piece from the colour scheme that she is using for her Roxy's Journal of Stitchery treasure hunt piece. So she's making an amazing Victorian sewing box, and she's using a lovely pastel muted, I think she's even used the term sort of like a dirty pastel colour scheme. And I looked through my fabric supply and had a look at her wonderful videos where she's shared her mood board and her sort of work in progress. And this fabric really jumped out at me as really working well alongside her sort of blue coloured parts of her colour scheme. So I'll post a link to her YouTube channel in the description. Well worth checking out. She makes lovely videos, very calm, very relaxing. They're fantastic just to watch and stitch and just enjoy having Leanne in your craft room. So the fabric that I'm using is this fabric, which I just adore. It's got my favourite things on it, birds and flowers, and it's from French General. So it's from the range called Bleu de France by French General, made by Moda Fabrics. And this particular fabric comes in 3 different colourways. So it's got in that midnight blue, and then a lighter blue, and then this sort of medium or dirty sort of pastel blue. And so I used the midnight blue in one of my other Stitchery pieces, and I think I've used the lighter pastel in one of the other ones as well. I think the one for Sharon potentially. And so I just love stitching the birds. I love doing them differently each time, and I love stitching into the leaves, the flowers, and also doing seed stitch in background so that you just get a really beautiful cohesive whole. So let me talk you through what I've done on this piece. We'll start with the bird. I've used a range of different stitches to create the feather effect on the bird. I didn't want to totally go over, I wanted to still leave the beautiful pattern of the bird underneath. But I wanted to add that sort of surface embellishment. And around the outside, I used this lovely vintage glistening yarn and used that to stitch the outer with just my form of backstitch. And I also used this yarn for the tail, because the great thing is when it, and you can't see it on the end of this because it's quite a clean cut, but the great thing is when it unravels a bit, you get these lovely fluffy sort of bits of yarn with a sort of a crimp in them. So what I did was just did some longer stitches and couched them down. So some of the couching stitches that we've learnt recently as part of the dictionary of stitches. And then I overlaid that with some of the frayed end, and actually did some intentional fraying of the end as well to get a bit more fabric. And I just think that makes a really fun, lovely plumage on for the tail of the bird. And then, yeah, the wings are also stitched, so either with chain stitch or little connected sort of Y stitches using different coloured threads. So there's just a light coloured regular vintage sewing cotton. There's a medium colour, and then there's another one which I've put away somewhere. And that's just been used to decorate the bird. Little French knot for the eye. I've just left the beak as is. I've then put some little just French knots in for the centres of the flowers. I didn't want to stitch all the foliage, but I did have fun just adding some further definition to the leaves, because in the pattern these leaves they don't look that distinct. They look a little bit like a clump of leaves, I think. So I had some fun adding some definition and putting some stitches in, again just with a regular sewing cotton. So that was fun. And then some more of that stitching over here, and then just some little French knots that I just did with a vintage perle, and then just some light coloured little dashes coming out like the sort of centre stamens. I was going to do more over stitching over this, but I actually wanted to just leave the pattern to stand there. I'm sorry, my voice is a bit croaky. I've been at work and talking all day, and yeah, I think I've almost used my voice up. But I'm really eager to get this in the post to Leanne tomorrow, so I wanted to make a video. And yeah, seed stitching around the background. So lots of seed stitching, which just gives that really lovely, lovely texture to it. And then, as you all know, I always have to create my little feature secret pocket. I decided not to do hexagon or hexy flowers because I've seen Leanne does her own in her own videos, and I wanted to keep this quite unfussy. I didn't want to add laces to it or anything because I know that Leanne's style, it's quite quite clean, quite refined. So I just wanted to really let the fabric and the stitching sort of take center stage. So I've got this little bundle that the little bird is holding as it's sitting in the tree. And it's got a little thread that is undone, and that thread's just coming through the fabric, so it can actually be taken out if for some reason Leanne wanted to lay it flat. But when you roll it open, you've got a little scroll, and inside that little scroll it's on a feather fabric that is from this same range, and this was just from a little charm square that I had. And it's got my little French laundry labels, love CO, my little note. And if I wanted to, I could also roll up a little paper note in here for Leanne as well. And then on the other side, it's just, that beautiful feather design. And so that's just a folded over. It's got no raw edges because I've folded it in and then stitched around the sides apart from the folded side. But I first of all, stitched the laundry labels on, and it just makes a really fun little scroll to have in the design. Let's see if I can do a knot on camera. Probably won't be able to, but we'll see how I go. I always get a little bit clumsy fingered when I'm trying to do knots on camera. I don't know why. Let's see. Can we do it? The pressure, my goodness, the pressure. See, I can never quite find where to. Okay, I'm going to call that, we'll neaten that up obviously before we send it to Leanne, but I'm going to call that a knot. And then I'm going to show you the back of it, and particularly for the lovely Annie Claxton who loves to see the stitching on the back. So you can see all the leaf prints. I love that it's like the skeleton of the leaves on the back. And then all of the, that was just done using a vintage crochet cotton, DMC, made in France. Got all the French themes going. And so it's just a lovely crochet cotton. That's what I used for the very small little seed stitches that you can barely see here. And then on the back it makes almost like a constellation sort of diagram when they show the maps of stars. And some more leaves, and then the beautiful bird, and you can see all the little stitching that I did to create the wings, and then the stitching down of the tail where I was holding various bits and pieces in place, and using just the fine cotton just to hold these, to couch down these threads for the underlying bits of the tail feather. So there you go, that is my final Stitchery square. I hope you like that one. I really love this little scroll effect, and hopefully it's given you some ideas of how you can stitch into and paint fabric, and also add textures. If you get frayed little bits, think how you could incorporate them into your own sewing projects. So I'll let you go, and stay tuned for some upcoming videos with some other project work and some other sewing in them. Look forward to seeing you for those, and as always, feel free to join our stitch along, which plays each evening, and is an opportunity to learn another stitch. Take care everyone, and I will speak to you soon. Bye.